And I'm going to give the word to Kesh, my friend from Lithuania, living in Portugal. He's actually already 10 years in the company Zinzino. He's a medical doctor. He's a martial arts specialist. Dangerous guy, into sports, keeping himself young with good products, good mentality, good activities. And he's going to tell us tonight everything about the concept of Zinzino, what you need to know about omega-6 and 3, what you need to know about our incredible products, starting with the balanced oil. And he's going to do that in such a way that you best take notes. So you will learn something which you can use in the future for your future prospects and customers. So Kesh, take it over. You can change the screen, up to yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Danny. So let's go right into it. Well, first of all, we all want to feel good and be healthy and stay fit. But do we really experience that? And that is a problem because we don't. We don't experience this. Most of us are experiencing health issues, and I was one of those people. In the past, before I started collaborating with Zinzino, and before I met Ola Eide in Norway, who pricked my finger and did the balance test, I had a lot of pains in my back and in my joints as a professional athlete, and I thought it was normal because I thought, well, professional athletes, that's what happens with us over time. And then I had asthma, but it was since I was a kid. Since I was a small child, I ended up in a hospital when I was 3 months old, and I almost died because I had difficulty breathing, and I was all blue because of lack of air, and I had no fever. So the doctors, I don't know if it was the doctors from the polyclinics or it was my parents, they thought I was okay because no fever, but they had no clue I had asthma. So I was short of breath, and my lungs were not, my bronchi were contracted, and air had difficulty to pass them, and I had lack of oxygen. So basically I had problems, and I took some medications. I had to take inhalers, 2 different ones, and some pills to stay normal, so to say normal, breathing normally. And sometimes even medication wouldn't help. And that was my reality. That's how I lived since I remember myself. Now, where does it come from? Back then, by the way, I started studying medical science. And strangely enough, becoming a doctor, I was not informed well about importance of nutrition. We were studying about pharmaceuticals, about surgeries, about anatomy, and I was convinced by medical profession, by my lecturers in the university, that my asthma is going to be with me forever. I was convinced. I was sure of that. I knew I will have to take increasing doses of medications. That was my reality based on the information that I have gotten. But thousands of years ago, Hippocrates said that if you feel sick, if you have any problems with your health, first of all, what you want to check is your food, because maybe you never thought of it, but you are created with the food that you eat. So basically, there's no other ways to create your body than just your genetic that knows how to, and the raw materials that come through your mouth that you digest, absorb, and then it becomes your cells and your tissues and your organs and your body. So I was not aware of that. Even worse, I was convinced that that was not so important because I did not study that in medical profession. I had some lectures about food that is, yeah, important, but no specific things that was creating my specific health issue and the issues of most of the people that we have now corrected. So where does it come from? Hundreds and thousands of years ago, from the nature, we were eating the food that was created by nature. And nature is creating food differently than people do. Now, what people did, by the way, it's not only bad, it's not only negative what people do. People created much more food than nature was creating back in times. So hundreds and thousands of years ago, there were periods of starvation and people died because of lack of food, because they were just relying on the nature. Now, today, we have overproduction of food in the Western societies. So we have, by the way, Danny, if you could let people in, I see 3 people are waiting in the waiting room. So today, we have overproduction of food, but there is issues with that. The soil that the fruits and vegetables are grown in is depleted. So fruits and vegetables have lack of micronutrients and phytonutrients, the nutrients that our bodies are genetically programmed to have plenty of. Now there is no plenty of that. Now that's number 3 issue, because we learned to produce some vitamins in the laboratories and so on. So some of that is already solved. Number 2 is fibers. So prebiotic fibers is something that now our body does not eat. Our body does not use prebiotic fiber for construction or for any other purpose. Prebiotic fiber is something the good bacteria in our gut are eating. So prebiotic fiber, if you lack that in your food, you will be lacking good bacteria in your gut, because good bacteria are called good for the reason they do not eat you. But if they lack food, they die. And then there is space for the bad bacteria to multiply in your gut. And bad bacteria are called bad because they are eating your gut layers, your cells, and they prefer actually you more than everything else in your gut. So this is why it's so important. And by the way, if you have low moods time to time, it might also be lack of prebiotic fiber, because I don't know if you knew, but a lot of serotonin, the neurotransmitter for your brain, is produced in the gut. And if you lack good bacteria, then it might be a problem for this process to go on normally. And there are many other things. If you feel your skin has, pimples and you have trouble with the skin quality, that also might be one of the symptoms of bad processes in your gut. So the whole body is all connected, and that's why we need all of those things. So micronutrients is number 3, fiber is number 2, number 1. Now we are getting to the absolutely number 1 ingredient today that is far, far away from the norm, which is fatty acids. Now, why is it so important? I will tell you, I will talk about it in a few moments. Now, let's talk about what are the topics of today. So the first topic is health challenges because of food deficiencies and imbalance. Now, second topic today is testing. So do we need to guess if we have those deficiencies and imbalance, or we can test it? So we can objectivize it. And then test-based solutions, which is not just, believe me, this is such a good product. Oh my, it's working. No, those times are over. People who are trying to sell things like that, sometimes they are successful, but many times not for long. Now, people want to know if what they are doing, what they're paying the money for, is really functioning. So today, the new era is coming. It's called test-based nutrition. Test-based solutions are used. Now, so now we have a big problem in the whole world, especially in the Western societies. The more west and south we go in Europe, the worse are the tests. And United States is even worse, and South Africa and many, many other countries are even worse than Europe. The best in Europe is Scandinavia, and they are still far away from the norm in the red zone, which means that they are experiencing the consequences of those food imbalances and food deficiencies. So let's now dig a little deeper into omega-6s and omega-3s. You probably heard of those omegas, at least omegas, or maybe omega-3s. And maybe you heard that omega-3s and omega-6s are essential fatty acids. If your body runs out of omega-3, your body is not able to produce those components and you die. If you run out completely of omega-6, your body cannot produce those and you die. So basically, both of them, there's no good and bad. Both of them are extremely important for your body, essential. And genetically, we are programmed to have 1-to-1 ratio. Now, 3-to-1 in science does not have a big impact on the body. So 3 times more omega-6 in the food and in the cells would not transform into health issues. But over 4-to-1, you start having consequences. And consequences are short-term consequences that they reduce your life quality, you feel worse, you start having some issues with your brain function, with many organs and systems. But there are also long-term consequences and irreversible damage to the body. Now, the higher you go, so Scandinavia is 11-to-1 approximately, which is in the red zone already. Everything over 9-to-1 is in the red zone. And United States is 25-to-1. And I'm in Portugal, in Lisbon, which is approximately, the last time I checked was 18-to-1 in the red zone. So why is it so important? Now, omega-6s are increasing inflammation in the body. That's their role. It's not bad. It's good because sometimes we need inflammation to fight microbes and viruses and in some other cases. But omega-6, if you eat way too much of it, then you will have way too much of inflammation. Now, omega-3 is decreasing inflammation. So if you eat way too little of omega-3, and that's the worst because we eat way too much of omega-6 and way too little of omega-3 at the same time. That increases inflammation in our body, and that creates a lot of trouble for our bodies. We age faster. Our skin, so those people who have bad ratio between omega-6 and omega-3 in their cells, their skin ages faster, which means they look older. And you know, maybe you were in your classmates' meeting, and some people looked much older than others. And it depends on several reasons. One of the reasons is omega-6 to omega-3 disbalance. So the more is disbalanced, the older the person looks and feels also, because if they try to perform in sports or in physical activities, they may get more trauma. Now, and then trauma may become a chronic trauma, which is not healing, and the pain persists there, and you need a lot of warm-up. How do I know that? Because I was a professional athlete, and I had a lot of that in my body. And now, once my omega-6 to omega-3 balance is back to the norm, I got rid of those things that I thought were irreversible. They were reversible, which was in my case. And I'm so happy that I found that actually it's not that I found omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. It's that scientists from Norway found us, pricked our fingers and measured those things. Now, what are the other symptoms of omega-6 to omega-3 disbalance? Well, if you feel that your brain function is reduced, you wake up in the morning and you are tired, although you slept the whole night, and you get up from bed and you feel like, oh, hell, it feels as if I had never slept. That might be the symptom that your brain is lacking omega-3s. For your brain, omega-3s are so essential that your brain impulses, electric impulses, are having wrong ways if you have lack of omega-3. Now, well, sometimes you have the third cup of coffee in the middle of the day because you feel so sleepy. That might be the symptom of bad balance between omega-6 and omega-3s. Now, maybe you cannot concentrate your attention, or your children cannot concentrate their attention. Try to balance omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and you will see what will happen. They will start having good attention. Now, maybe you start forgetting things, your memory reduced, and you feel like you're forgetting things. You have to write everything down. That might be the symptom. So there are a variety of symptoms. Now, the most, well, not, I cannot say strange thing, but the most important thing for you to know is that symptoms are so variable. They are not, they're not the same for each individual. Why? Because every person has a different weak genetically points in their body. So for some people, it's brain function, and that's what they feel. But for others, brain is functioning still normally, but they have pains in the joints and in the muscles and in the whole body. Well, pain, inflammation transforms into pain. So inflammation is pain. If you ask any doctor, what are the 5 things, what 5 symptoms of inflammation? One of them is pain. So if you have too much inflammation in the body, you will have too much pain that you should not be having. And if you have those pains, maybe this is something you would like to check and see if you're not in the wrong ratio. Now, cardiovascular system depends on the fatty acids a lot. So if you have any issues with your heart or your circulation or lipids in your blood or your blood vessels, your arteries, or atherosclerosis, or any of that, that might be just the consequence of this omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. You correct it, and you may expect those things to get better. So now, and I could talk more about it. I could have the whole lecture about how many different deviations, the moving away from the normal function of the body that omega-6 to omega-3 ratio brings. But let's move on. So basically what I would tell my patient, I would say, first of all, before we do anything else with you, let's return the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio back to the norm and check if your problems are solved. If they are not, then we continue with the other things and with the other procedures and other supplements and everything else. So number 2 thing, what is going very, very wrongly in the body with bad balance between fatty acids is cell membrane fluidity. Now, it's a fancy word. What does that mean, fluidity? Fluidity, that's a scientific word for basically how do the substances cross the cell membrane into the cell and out of the cell. Now, with the bad fluidity, which is omega-6 to omega-3 and saturated fat, omega-6s and omega-3s and saturated fat. So there is a balance between different groups of fatty acids that changes this fluidity. Now, once the fluidity is bad, by the way, you can see this parameter in the test. When you do the balance test, it shows you fluidity of cell membranes. So if it's bad, if it's in the red zone, that means that you can eat a lot of micronutrients, vitamins in your diet, or even the polyvitamin products, but those micronutrients may not end up in your cell in the right amounts because the cells, those micronutrients have a difficulty to cross the cell membrane. So basically what I'm saying here in the simple words is that if your fluidity of cells is in the red zone, every cell in the body is hungry for the nutrients because it has low amount of nutrients and is intoxicated by its own metabolites. So in the cell, there are processes and there are some metabolites that are already they need to be moved out of the cell. And now there is too much of those metabolites in the cell. And that's not the place you would like to keep your body in, because that creates tiredness and that creates a lot of other problems. And the vitamins that you're buying and taking have low effect. They are creating a smelling and yellow urine more than correcting your deficiencies in the cells. So that's why omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is so crucially important. And that is the worst of the worst in all human history is today. That's the biggest imbalance. Now, do you need to guess about it? And the answer is absolutely no. There is no need to guess about those things anymore. You know that technologies are progressing with every year, with every day. And there's a new technology of testing omega-6s, omega-3s, saturated fat, and omega-9s, 11 different fatty acids in our cells. We prick the finger, we send it to the independent laboratory. Now, this laboratory is in Oslo. It's called Vitas Analytical Services. You can find it by vitas.no. It's a separate structure from us. It's not Zinzino. We just have an agreement with them. Now, they have a lot of customers. Cambridge University, Harvard, Oxford, and many other companies are using this laboratory. It's next to the Innovation Center of Oslo, next to the University of Oslo and Oslo Clinical Hospital. So this laboratory is used by many, many structures. Now, they are also called a reference lab, which means that they could do the tests and other laboratories could regulate their machines, calibrate their machines according to the parameters that this laboratory shows. Now, another interesting thing is that those tests are anonymous. The laboratory doesn't know your name. We don't know your name. There's a unique code in each box of the test. And when you prick a finger, the laboratory only receives the blood and the code. That's it. So now the three most important tests that we do is the first one, actually the third one, so to say, is the HbA1c. That's how much of hemoglobin was damaged by glucose. So it has nothing to do with fatty acids. It's about the glucose regulation in your blood. If your blood sugars go too high, at least once in the last 3-4 months, we will see it on HbA1c test. Now, why is it so important? Because high sugars is very crucial for the body, and it's called gateway disease. Diabetes is called a gateway disease. So now, if we check HbA1c, we can see that you are heading towards diabetes far before you get there, 10 years ahead of time, or maybe even more than that. So you better check HbA1c at least once per year to check if you are still in the green zone or in a second green zone, which means that you need some changes in your diet, or already in pre-diabetes, which is still 100% reversible, or in diabetes. Now, if you're in pre-diabetes, we can still return you back. And omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is one of the first things you need to do. So now HbA1c is something that I recommend for everyone on the planet. And we can measure even small deviations from the sugar control in your blood before time comes for the irreversible diabetes. Now, that's number 3 test that we do, and it's also done in Vitas laboratory. Number 2 test that we do is vitamin D testing. Now, this test is a very accurate test here in Vitas laboratory. It's not so accurate in most of the laboratories as it is there. And the newest technology is still not accurate enough. So Vitas laboratory does the test out of your drops of blood 4 times from the same sample, which means to have the best score, to have the best accuracy, they do it 4 times. which is unique. I haven't heard on the whole planet, being a doctor, that any laboratory does it 4 times before it gives the ratios back to you in the report. So that is important. But the most important of all the tests that we do is the balance test, the fatty acid balance test. Now, what do the test reports show? We have performed 1,330,000 plus tests. That's the last time I checked. It may be already more than this. And 97% of people failed completely the tests, which means that they were in the red zone. And many of them were taking omega-3 supplements. Now, not Zinzino supplements, supplements of omega-3 from the pharmacies, which they believed that this is a reliable source of omega-3. Of course, when you go to a pharmacy, you believe that they are selling you what's best for you. But that's not really true. They're just selling whatever is shipped to them by different companies. Now, many shops already are selling omega-3 supplements, and most of those supplements fail the test. Basically, people who are taking those supplements failing the test. And I will talk about it a little later, why. There is a reason for that. Now, so are you in the danger zone? Is your family in your danger zone? Are your kids in the danger zone? Your significant other, your parents, your friends, your city where you live in, and your country, and the whole world? Well, there's only one way to figure this out, is to prick the finger, to send the blood to the Vitas laboratory. Well, there are other laboratories actually. There's the number of laboratories that do this test is increasing on the planet. So basically, you can use another laboratory. It's just that I recommend Vitas because the report is much bigger and much more intuitive to read, and has many more parameters than any other laboratory that I have ever seen during my career. And I'm doing those tests for the last 12 years, since 2012. Now, well, my first test was not all red, but the main parameter was red, and I was taking omega-3 supplements from the pharmacy. As a doctor, I also believed that pharmacy was selling me something that really works. And that was not the case. Well, first of all, I was embarrassed that I had no clue those tests existed. So I did not know that there's a fatty acid test and that I can be tested. Second embarrassment came when I saw my first test. I was absolutely sure it was going to be green because I was taking omega-3 supplements, but it was red. Now, that was very strange to me because EPA is one of the most important of all the omega-3s. And as you can see here on the screen, lower in the red square, it shows EPA minus 74%. Now, minus 74%, it's 3 of 4 are missing. So if you divide 100 into 4 parts, or I can use an example. Just imagine a car that has 4 wheels with 4 tires. So 1 tire on each wheel, but 3 tires are missing. Now you only have 1 tire left on the car. The other 3 wheels are on the metal. And now you're trying to drive this car, as I did. So as it is not the car, it's my body. I had all those pains, and this was one of the reasons. Why? Because just imagine I was driving my body just as that car with 1 wheel with a tire. So, and I had those symptoms that I needed inhalers and everything else. Now, once I corrected this, those things are gone from my life for the last 10, 11 years, and I hope for the rest of my life. So now, well, what can you do about it? So let's say you checked the ratios and the ratios are red. So in 120 days, you may be returned back to the green zone. And how do you do that? Well, a lot of scientists worked on this subject. beginning in Norway, then in Oxford, and in many, many places on Earth. And Simo Paulus is another name that is not here, but you may check that name. You may check PubMed and write omega-6, omega-3 ratio or omega-6, omega-3 balance into the Google, and you will find a lot of scientific data. But now those scientists worked to solve the problem. And it turned out that the problem started with refining fish fat. Now, every fish fat, every capsule that you can get on the market, the omega-3 is refined. The fish fat is refined. Why? Because fish fats have too much pollutants these days. It was not the case 200 years ago, 1,000 years ago, but today you cannot sell legally fish fat that is not refined. But there is a problem. And that problem was overlooked for decades. After the fish fats started being refined, the antioxidant, the protective molecules for omega-3 were removed together with the pollutants. Now, without those molecules, omega-3s are impotent. They cannot produce the results in your body because they are too susceptible, too sensitive to oxidation, and it happens inside your body. So now it's not just not helping you, it may even harm your body with the oxidized omega-3s. So now this was researched in Norway, and Norwegian scientists saw that that was the case, and they couldn't find on the planet Earth, in this nature, you cannot find omega-3 in nature without polyphenols. The only place where you can find it is omega-3 supplements in pharmacies and shops. Now, so those Norwegian scientists, they returned back the polyphenols from another source, and that is why balance oil is not fish fat. It's not omega-3 oil. It's more of a polyphenol plus omega-3 oil, because polyphenols, the protective molecules, are much more important in this oil than omega-3, although you are getting both. So polyphenols, they have also anti-inflammatory effects in the body on their own. And omega-3s have anti-inflammatory effects, but omega-3s have those effects only if they travel with polyphenols, because otherwise those omega-3s are lost in the process. There is a lot of oxidized omega-3s in your stomach and in your gut if it's not coming with polyphenols. So that's very, very important. Balanced oil is not fish fat. It's a balancing oil. It's the oil that returns your cells back to the norm. Now, a clinical study in SINTEF. SINTEF is a well-known the independent study company, and they made a study of fish fats stability and balance oil stability against oxidation. And balance oil was many times more stable, and that is the case why it's functioning. So now the first generation, as I call, is a balance oil. We have different tastes. You can pick one of your favorite, and it has vitamin D3 in it, and it has enough of EPA and DHA to return back your cells to the full norm of omega-6 to omega-3 ratio and omega-3 levels. And it has vitamin E and other ingredients, and most importantly, it has the polyphenols. Now, the other that is called premium, this one is used in certain cases when people smoke a lot, because this oil has 4 times more polyphenols. So it has even more antioxidant activity. So, or with certain diseases, we use premium. Now, soft gels is the capsules, is for those who cannot swallow oils. So if the texture of the oil or smell of the oil or anything about the oil that you hate and you don't want to take that, you can take the capsules, or when you travel, because it's easier to take capsules when you travel. They allow them into the hand luggage, and they cannot spoil if they leak out, they don't leak out actually, right? The bottle may leak out, but capsules, they keep the oil inside them. So Aquax is created for people who have no gallbladder or digest fats in a difficult, so with a difficulty. So if they have impaired digestion of fats, that's when they need Aquax, because then first generation or premium or capsules may not return them back to the normal omega-3 levels. That's why this product was created, and it took approximately 11 years since the moment when Balance Oil started being produced and sold until the moment this was created. And now we have an amazing solution for those who suffer from bad fat digestion. And by the way, also Aquax is very good for children because it dissolves in water or in cold drink or in orange juice, and it just disappears, the smell, the texture, and the taste. Now, Balance Oil Vegan is produced from algae, so which means that we don't need to use fish in the process. We can derive that omega-3 directly from algae. Fish does not produce omega-3. Algae produce omega-3, but fish eats omega-3. So we can produce it from algae. It's just way more expensive. So this oil is a bit more expensive, but still for the vegetarian and vegan people community, this is the solution. Now, maternity kit is something that I'm very proud of because that shows what kind of a quality of a product we have and what kind of a standard. So it's recommended before pregnancy, during pregnancy, and during the course of feeding the child with the breast. So this is the product. Basically, it's just another box because all of our products may be consumed by mothers or pregnant women or feeding women. It's just we created the packaging so that they are sure that what they are taking is good and is safe, but the product is the same. So basically the product is safe for every single individual on earth. Now we have many certificates. I will not go deeper into it because we have everything, gluten-free, non-GMO and sugar-free and many other. Now, the age category is for every age. It could be so still a small baby in the belly, or it's already a just born baby, or children, or elderly people, or adults. And we have many health claims that EFSA, European Food Safety Authority, let us give to the customers. So, well, you can check it again after 4 or 5 months, and then you see. So my second test was not yet green, it was yellow. And the reason for that was that I was not doing everything right. I was forgetting, I was taking too little because I was skeptical. I did not think this has such a big effect. Now, well, even that was enough that my health status changed so drastically that I got hooked. I wanted to see what will happen with me when I will get the fully green test. Now, today, I keep myself in a fully green test for the last, I would say, 7 at least years. And now I'm very strict with this because when I take less, my health issues slowly return back. And if I take enough so that my cells are balanced in a good balance, my health issues disappear again. So basically, what I'm saying here is that maybe you have some health issues, and with the right dosaging, you may return back to the normal state of the body that your genetic wants, and then you will experience what it is to be in the normal state of a human being, and how powerful your genetic is when it has all the ingredients that it needs for producing your body right. Now, is that all? No. As I told, the first, number one, is omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and let's say it's fixed. Number two is fiber for the gut, and I already explained what that is. It's not your food, it's the food of the good bacteria in your gut. So now, if you don't have lack of prebiotic fiber in your food, you will not have lack of good bacteria in your gut. That will transform into many, many good things for your health. Now, number three is micronutrients, vitamins, phytonutrients, and a lot of different small ingredients in this product. Now, if you take all three, we call that you are on health protocol, which means that you are balanced, you have enough fiber in the gut, and you have all the micronutrients that your cells need. Why do we call it health protocol? Because we don't believe that if you have lack, we believe if you have lack of those ingredients, any of those, you will have bad health. So we believe that if you want to have good health, you need all of those ingredients. And you cannot get enough of those in the food that you eat from the shop, in the food that you eat in the restaurant, and in the products that you buy from the pharmacy or from the shop. So basically what we are saying, you need to be tested, you need to be corrected, and you need to be retested if you're serious about your future health. And Shafran is the fourth, what we call health protocol premium. Many people have low moods today, bad quality of sleep, and some other issues with their brain functions. And Shafran is the fast, quick fix for that. So before you are balanced, you can use Shafran, and sometimes even after you balance yourself, you still can use Shafran in the days of exams or high stress because you need to give a speech publicly or anything like that. I don't have stress to publicly speak, but sometimes I don't have a very good sleep because I have a 3-year-old baby at home. And before I had that baby, well, I was sleeping very well. But after the baby came, months later, I started having bad sleep. I would wake up even if the baby is not crying. And then Shafran Viva is helping me a lot. And I can use it just on and off. Sometimes I use it for 2 evenings before I go to bed. I take 4 tablets and then I sleep perfectly well. It has no side effects. By the way, none of those products have a real side effect. Well, the most difficult is to take the xenobiotic, the fibers, but all the products have no long-term side effects whatsoever. So Shafran is helping a lot. Now, we have a lot of Olympic athletes and professional athletes who are taking the products, and some of them, they have teams of doctors and teams of nutritionists. And when Zinzino comes, most of the companies, if not all of the companies, have to move out because Zinzino comes with tests. When those athletes are tested, we see that whatever company was before us, they were not doing a really good job. And once we improve with the Zinzino products and we retest those athletes, they test better or completely normal, and they start performing much better. So that's why they prefer to have those products with them. Now, we don't have that many products. We don't believe in many products. We believe that health protocol is the most important, and the rest, your body may take care of itself. Well, several more products for you to investigate is Xenogene, because Xenogene is extremely important in the age over 45. Now, for me, just to explain very briefly what that is. So even if you are on health protocol and you enter the 45th year, well, for some, maybe it's even earlier. If you fly a lot of flights, you get more radiation. So it could start with your 40s. But in your body, you start collecting so-called senescent cells, the senile cells, the cells that are too old to perform the functions of your body. those cells, they have to be washed away by your immune system and by the inner processes. But over 40, over 45, the immune system is no longer capable to remove every senescent cell from your body. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means just imagine a corridor, and when you are young, the process in your body comes to the door, opens the door, and crosses the door. That's how easy it is for some processes to function. But if you have senescent cells, the process comes to that door in the corridor, and there is 30 people standing. Now, this process have to cross, to move through those 30 people before it opens the door and goes its way. And it's even worse. Imagine if that process comes and there's 100 people standing. It may even be impossible to move through the door, which means that if you are over 45, you want to do cleansing of the body from those senescent cells. And that's why Xenogene was created. So Xenogene has many ingredients, and one of the group of ingredients is to remove the senescent cells from your body. Another group of ingredients releases stem cells from your bone marrow, which means that your organs and tissues are renewed with the new cells. And there is protective ingredients that protect the process from errors. So now Xenogene is also one of my favorite products that I recommend on top of health protocol over 45 years of age and sometimes earlier. Protect is another amazing product. When you feel you will get sick soon, in a moment, well, you feel that something is wrong with your body and it's like cold is coming, right? So in that moment, you may want to take 2-4 capsules of Protect. And what you will notice that in the morning you wake up and you feel like, oh, I did not got sick. And that is the reason of the ingredients in the Protect. So I use Protect on certain occasions when I feel that something is not okay with my body and I don't want to get worse than that, then I use large dose of Protect. And there are some other products like Lean Shake, which is a substitution of the food if you want to lose weight or if you want to get many nutrients that are in this superfood. So basically, Skin Serum is another amazing product, but you want to dig deeper into those after you are on health protocol. Now, my family, Ina, was all red, 28-1. Orestes was 12-1. He's 11 years old now. But Aras, the 3-year-old, he was already born with a good balance, which is I'm very proud as a father, although it is only partially on me because it's more on the scientists who created those amazing products. But I'm so happy that I could give Aras those ingredients since he was started. Now, what is the price? Is it a high price or is it a very low price or is it no price? Well, I call those products a no price. Now, let me explain what I mean. Now, if you buy for a retail price, one test or one bottle of oil, then you pay a very high price. And it's going to cost you 530 euros for just 2 tests and several bottles of oil. But we never recommend to buy just one test or another test or one bottle of oil. We recommend to go on a program. We recommend to do the test, to take the oil for at least half a year, to retest yourself after 4 or 5 months. And then if your second test is not yet 100%, then increase the dosaging and then retest again. This is the program that we recommend to be on. And if you commit to this program, then you get a 63% discount and you start with only 198 euros. And then every month, one bottle only costs 41 euro for you. Now, that sounds like still some money, but let me explain why I say that this is a no money product. Now, how may that happen? Well, Imagine that you today are eating way too much of omega-6 products. Now, what are omega-6 products? Bread is omega-6 product. Now, corn and soy, sometimes you eat some corn in salad, soy and grain and cookies, and sometimes you take a cookie with the coffee, and potato have no omega-3 whatsoever, zero. And carrot, and those are superfoods, they're good foods, and cucumber and many other foods. So there's a huge stack of foods that have zero omega-3 in them. Now, where the right omega-3 is only certain type of fish. It's not just the regular fish. The white fish that you eat has very low omega-3 levels. And the red fish that you get that was farmed, like a farmed salmon, the nice red and tasty, has very low, is too low of omega-3. So basically what I'm saying is that you're buying a big stack of products of omega-6 and very little products of omega-3. And what I'm saying here is, could you save just 1 or 2 euros every day buying a little less of omega-6 products, buying one cookie less, one part of the cake less, or one potato less, or one French fries less, something just a little bit less for 41 euros per month, so that you could buy 1 bottle of balanced oil per month. So now you have same expenditure for food, but a better balance. So this is a no money product if you know how to make that happen. So with the same amount of money, you are receiving better balance of ingredients for your body, and you are creating much better future for yourself. So, and much better today, by the way. Now, to have the full health protocol premium with also Viva in it with Shafran, you only need approximately 4 euros per day, 4.5 maybe. So could you buy 4.5 euros less of omega-6 products every day? Yes, I believe most of us could. Maybe it will take a little bit of a discipline. Maybe it will take a little bit of research, which products have a lot of omega-6. And well, with omega-3 is a difficulty because very few products have enough omega-3 in the market. And those even who have, they have pollutants in them. So basically with omega-3 it's a big issue, but with omega-6, you can reduce intake of omega-6. And now just imagine, you stop buying something of very low value, maybe even that is building your body weight, which you don't need anymore. And then you substitute it with health protocol. Now you are becoming a superhuman with the same amount of money spent for food per month. So now this is not all. All the customers, the money that they spent for shipping is returned back to them to buy more products. And from the 7th month, 10% from each invoice is returned back to the customer as a XenoCash. So customers actually pay less than what I showed because they can buy more products. And there is another program that we have, it's called Zinzino for free, which means that you may be getting the products for free even. So that would be even saving the money if you buy less of omega-6 and you get all of your Zinzino products for free. So now you start saving money. Of course, I haven't told about going to work much more and being much more capable. Your brain function is better, and you don't need to buy so many pharmaceuticals and spend other things like when your kids are sick and you stay at home. So basically, if you are on Zinzino for free program, you're probably saving a lot of money on top of what it seems like you are saving, right? So it's a program that you can get products for free. Now, so how do we shape the future of nutrition together? Well, there are several ways. You can become a customer with all the benefits of taking the products and balancing yourself and retesting yourself getting Zinzino for free products, getting Zino Cash and buying some more products for that. Or you can become a partner with the company, sharing this simple message with people that they can reduce the foods that they are having too much of in their diet and increase the foods that they had a lack of in their diet, spend the same amount of money, and have much better health and much better future. That is a simple message, and that's what we partners do every single day. And that's our profession and that's our mission. So if you're interested in that, come the same time on Tuesday, the next Tuesday, any Tuesday, and listen to the partnership program, and then you may make up your mind on the partnership. So thank you so much. Our slogan is inspire change in life. Thank you, and I wish you a great evening and amazing rest of the week.